Hello and welcome back to revise GCSEhistory.co.uk. This is the 6th video in the topic Medicine in Ancient Greece, and it's the last video in this topic. In the video today we're going to be looking at the developments in knowledge and anatomy made by the ancient Greeks, and also we're going to be looking a bit at the surgical advancements made by the Greeks. Okay. So developments in medical knowledge. Let's have a look at this to start with. The theory of the four humours meant the Greeks did everything in moderation. They did everything in moderation. This meant they didn't eat too much, and this made them more healthy. Because the theory of the four humours said that everything should be done in moderation and in equal amounts, they didn't eat too much, so they didn't become unhealthy. Greeks looked naturally for the causes of disease and treatments based upon these causes. They didn't just blame the gods, so they looked for natural causes, used natural treatments. Hippocrates told his students that all diseases could be treated naturally, so there wasn't any need to use gods or superstition. Okay, so developments in medical knowledge. Greek doctors rarely dissected dead bodies. Dissection was banned in much of ancient Greece. They were unaware of how much they could have learned through dissection, and thought dissecting the dead was wrong. Because dissection was not carried out in ancient Greece, Greek doctors missed out on anatomical knowledge that could be gained. One of the first Greek doctors to dissect was Herophilius. He discovered that the brain controls the body. He also showed the difference between the arteries and nerves and identified parts of the stomach. This bit here you don't necessarily need to learn for the exam, so I'm just going to put a bit of a line through that stuff. The point of this, the reason I've included this in the video, is just to demonstrate that Herophilius, who was the first doctor to dissect, made these discoveries and improvements in anatomical knowledge through dissecting. This point here is merely to demonstrate that much knowledge could be gained through dissection, so don't bother revising this. Alexandria, the centre of all medical knowledge. The Greeks built a university and a library at Alexandria. Sorry I've missed that out. Centre of all medical knowledge. The Library of Alexandria attempted to collect all the knowledge of the world and was the centre of new medical ideas. Unlike in the rest of Greece, human dissection was permitted, and Alexandria soon became famous for training medics and surgeons. Accurate observation was the key to much of development made there, and doctors from Alexandria went to practice all over the world. So Alexandria was the centre of all medical knowledge in ancient Greece, and it attempted to collect all the medical knowledge of the world. So this is just a bit of an example. I'll make a note. You don't need to know this point. Don't need to know. You don't need to know this point specifically, but Erasistratus identified the difference between the arteries and the veins at Alexandria. He also saw that the nerves were not hollow and so couldn't be vessels for fluid. The nerves don't carry fluid like the arteries and veins, and he identified the difference between arteries and veins. You don't need to know the discovery that Erasistratus made. However, this point just merely demonstrates that human dissection allowed Erasistratus to make these discoveries at Alexandria, and this point also demonstrates that medical advancement was made at Alexandria, the centre of all medical knowledge, so you don't need to know the specifics of that detail. So, let's have a look at the developments in surgery. Surgery advanced slightly in ancient Greece. Advanced slightly. although it was still a risky procedure and was a last resort. The use of iron and steel gave doctors stronger and sharper surgical instruments to operate with, so that made surgery more successful because they had better tools. It's an old phrase that goes, a workman is only as good as his tools. So it's mainly about builders, but that made surgery more successful because they had better surgical instruments. The ancient Greeks used surgery as a last resort, and most treatments were carried out outside the body, apart from the draining of the lungs if the patient had pneumonia, and that is inside the body. So that's an example. You don't need to know that specifically, but that's just an example of a surgical treatment that was carried out inside the body as opposed to outside the body. Surgeons also developed good techniques for setting broken bones, and in extreme cases would amputate limbs. That's like amputation. If you don't know what it means, it just means to cut off arm or a leg. So if a patient had gangrene, they might cut their arm off to stop infection spreading, but that was only in extreme cases. Okay, so we've come to the end of this video today. Here's just 4 quick knowledge recall questions to test that you picked up the key points from this video. You may wish to pause the video here and have a go at these questions. If not, no worries, we'll do them together. Okay, so let's go to the answers to these questions. Question 1. Suggest how the theory of the 4 humours benefited the Greeks. Well, it was a natural treatment, got them looking at the real causes of disease rather than blaming gods, and we talked about it earlier, everything in moderation. They didn't eat too much and stuff because they thought everything should be done in moderation. Why did the ancient Greeks miss out on knowledge of physiology? Dissection was banned in most of Greece apart from Alexandria. I should just put in most of Greece, in most of Greece. All of Greece apart from Alexandria. Alexandria became famously known as the centre of all medical knowledge. That was what it was famously known as. And they had a library and a university at Alexandria, and the library attempted to collect all the medical knowledge of the world. Last question here, question 4. Surgery was used as a let's have a different colour. As a last resort. You may remember this, we've just this sec talked about it. And most treatments were carried out outside of the body, except from draining the lungs. If a patient had pneumonia, we'll just write draining the lungs. Okay, so thank you for watching the video today. I hope you found that useful. If you have, there's more videos similar to this on my website, revisegcsehistory.co.uk. This is actually the last video in the topic, Medicine in Ancient Greece. The next videos we're going to be doing is Medicine in Ancient Rome. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again very soon.